we're going to be installing this shifter. This is a gray area shifter. This is their compact shifter. This fits W bodies, Camrys. It does come with a cable. I don't have the cable right now. Sorry, I do, but it's on the shelf. It's not bolted on. Now, we're going to be doing something a little different. Gray area no longer sends out the adapter plates to bolt this onto the Toyota transmission or the aluminum transmission, I guess, because I didn't get them, and I phoned him and I asked him, and he said that he doesn't ship them anymore. So we actually went out and we bought products from Jeffys Fab Farm, and I'll show you those products once I show you this. The products I bought from Jeffys actually bolt to the transmission, and they take a little bit of modifications to fit the gray area cable, because gray area and Jeffys use different cables. I really like the gray area shifter. I find it very smooth, and it works very good with Camrys. I find the throw works amazing. And I really like the Jeffys bracket that bolts to the transmission. I've been using those ones since pretty much day one. Even when gray area sent me cables, transmission brackets, I usually went and bought Jeffy ones because they're more compact and it's just a more sleeker look. So usually I drill holes in this and just bolt this down, but I find that it's been putting it on angles and everything. So I built this plate that I bolt to the factory shifted bracket, and then I'm just going to weld this to this. So then that way I can easily change it. But what I want to do is I want to find out where I am inside the car. So I want my knees to not lock. Right there. Right there. That's not bad. And I want the shifter to be close, so I might move a little bit farther back. Honestly, I think I'm pretty happy with right there about that. So we're just gonna, I just want it to be at a spot where I can reach it without overextending. I want to be able to pull it back. Yeah, right there I think is good. I just want to make it sure it's in a comfortable spot for me as the driver. I think that's where I'm going to go, is right there. Now, this shifter is powder coated, so I am going to grind off some of the powder coating when I weld it. But we are going to weld this down to this plate, and that puts it in a great position for me. I've been noticing that a lot of people are mounting them higher up, and honestly, I don't know if I'd like that. It might be a little bit better if the throw was smaller, like if it wasn't such a big handle, but I don't know. I'm so used to the floor right now. This actually moves the shifter back about 10 inches so that I'm not reaching forward so much for the factory shifter. So I'm just going to get some welds on this. I'm just going to put some fair tack welds on it right now, and we'll fully weld it in a bit, and then we'll start running our cable. So lots to do here. Let's get this tack welded, and then we'll start on the cable. So what we have here is our gray area cable, and you know what, I've never had any issues with the gray area cables, but the one thing that makes me really like them is my buddy actually had an issue with one of the cables. It got kind of banged up in the derby, and he messaged Gray Area with a photo and said, hey, look at my cable got bent up, and they actually shipped him a brand new one when he shipped him the damaged one. I don't know if Jeffy does that, because again, I've never had an experience where I've actually had to do that yet. But it's pretty cool that Gray Area stands behind their stuff like that. So if you take a look, one end's got a quick release and one end's got a little Heim joint. Yeah, that's a Heim joint. I'm trying to think if that's the right name in my head. So I'm going to put the Heim joint onto the inside and the quick release onto the actual transmission. Pretty easy, 21 mil, these two bolts. So I just take it all down. You got to pull it all apart just to get it through the bracket. Pull the Heim off. You can leave the nut on. You got to move the big rubber down. Pretty sure you can get all these off past. You just need to take one nut and washer off. Nah, take it all off. It takes an extra 5 minutes. And then you just pretty much put it all back together on the inside. Make sure you don't lose any of these. You want to try to keep the weather out of this as much as you can, because up here the weather kind of kills everything. All I'm going to do is put this together very loosely, because there's still a lot of fine-tuning that I have to do to this. I have to make sure that I put the gear selector in the right spot. I got to make sure that everything is adjusted, so I'm just doing it nice and loose. But if you did want, and you know where you want to go, these are 21 mil, and they fit that just fine. And the other one is 7/16. So, now that we have the nuts on, all we're going to do is slide our rubber on. Put our adjuster nut on, and this is our locking nut, sorry, not adjuster. I like to make sure there's a substantial amount of thread in that, because that's one of the weak points. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to reverse. From reverse is where I can set everything underneath the hood. So right here we have the Jeffys Fab Farm brackets. I've never had an issue with these brackets. You have to modify them a bit to fit the gray area cables, but all I do is cut them a little shorter and drill some new holes in them. But I've had great luck, and honestly these have got me out of trouble a lot. And what I mean by that is, if you guys know Toyotas, the bracket that bolts to the transmission is not flat. It's got a huge offset on it. And the offset in a stock class gets caught in the lower rad support, caught in the radiators, caught in the cooling fans, everything like that. So I've had horrible luck with them. So I switched them all out to these flat brackets. Stock class, if I'm not allowed to, obviously I gotta keep the brackets that come on the car. But whenever I can, I try to switch them out to these. Pretty much, if I'm allowed, I'm going to do it. A lot of you guys ask me, when you take off these pieces, it breaks that pin. And what do I do? Well, what I like to do is I like to start soaking it in WD-40 before I go to try to get it off a couple days in advance. That way it has time to sink in. I have broken about, I'm going to say, out of every 10 cars I do, I probably break 4 of them. So about 40% of the cars I do, I break them. And then I just take a hammer and I tap it on, and I completely weld it in place. And when I want it off, I take a grinder, clean off all the grinds, and then just pop it off. I've done that a lot, and honestly, I've actually ground them off of a car, and then welded them back on, and ground them off the car again, and never had any issues. So, a big shout out to Jeffys for coming up with a part that is such maneuverability and adjustability. So it looks like with just a little bit of adjustment, I'm not going to have to modify this at all. I guess Jeffys and Gray Area got together and use the same cables now, because the gray areas used to be a little bit shorter. But the one thing that we do have to do, oh, we don't even have to do that. Yeah, Jeffys and Gray Area must have got together and collaborated, because this is awesome. I don't have to modify anything. The last ones that I was running, I had to cut about an inch off of that and move all the bolts up an inch. A little bit of modifications, but again, if you guys want your car a certain way, you got to do it, right? But now, it looks like I don't have to modify anything, which is always nice. I'm going to say this right now, I love shifters. That is, the two things I invest money in is headers, because I do so many motor swaps, but if I was running a stock class, I really wouldn't waste my money on headers. Headers are not going to win a demolition derby. Shifters will win a demolition derby for you. The factory shifters in most cars are designed to brake with impact. These are not. I wasn't sponsored by Jeffys or Gray Area for this video. I bought my Gray Area shifters. He had a sale on this Christmas. It was $175 American. For the shifters, I bought 2. So that is $350 American for 2 shifters. And by the time that shipping went on that, which was $94 because I do live in Canada, and then you had customs and duty on that, and then you had the exchange rate, the 2 gray area shifters ended up costing me $750 to my door. You guys in the US get stuff so much cheaper. I think I was $97 broker fees and $102 duty at the border. So that kind of sucked. It really did. And then I actually had to buy these brackets from Jeffys, but fortunately enough for me, Jeffys does have a Canadian store. I think I paid $30 a piece for these from his Canadian store. I bet you they're a lot cheaper in the US. But well worth the money. This right here is something that is going to save you in the demolition derby. I'm just going to button all this up, and I'm going to fine-tune, adjust. What I do is I put the shifter in reverse, I put the transmission in reverse, I lock it all down, and then make sure I have low, make sure I have park. Pretty much that's all I need. Low is where I set everything. You put everything to low because that's where the pin is. You don't try to set the park because the pin has so much adjustment. So like I said, we're just going to button this up and we'll bring you guys right back. So there's low, there's reverse, low, reverse, and here comes park. Just like that. We have all the gears in the selector, but the downside is that's where park is, and that's where low is. You see this space? The Luminas have a bigger throw between the gears than Camrys. So what I've done in the past is I've drilled and tapped it down here just above this ball, and then I drilled a new hole just a little bit lower, and it seemed to work really good for Camrys. I might do that to this one, but I'm not sure right now. But it's in there, it's set up, and it's working. So as of right now, we got the shifter in, got the cage in, got a gas tank bracket, battery bracket. Now we just have to wire it and make sure this motor runs. And do all the motor mounts, and bumper, and doors, and trunk, and hood. There's still quite a big list. So thanks for watching. I just want to say this again. I am not sponsored by any of the people that actually make any of the products that I've installed today. Gray area, I buy my own products. Customer service is amazing. When I buy my products, I usually get them in the mail the next day, if not the day after. I've never had an issue with Gray area. Any broken products, he gets back to me right away. Jeffys Fab Farm. I love that he's got a Canadian location where I can buy my stuff from, where I don't got to pay duty or anything like that. They both have very good products, and they're kind of a little different from each other. So what I can't get from one, I can get from the other, but they do all go together. And I don't know. I've ran R&R products before, and I was used when I got it and was a little beat, but I have not bought any other R&R products. I don't know why I haven't, to be honest. I think he makes some good stuff. I do have this header from Tanked. I think that's a great header. It is a lot bigger than the other headers that everybody makes. So every different person that makes different things for the aftermarket world is different, but they're all good. So pick whichever one you like. If you have bad experiences, I got a bad experience from a guy called Flashworks. I bought 2 gas tanks for Camrys and never got them. He took about $580 Canadian from me. So that was a pretty big loss, but I got to chalk that one up to new company, good reputation, turned out not to be so good. So I'd like to stick to the big guys out there and get from them. But what do you guys think? Have you guys used the gray area shifters before? Have you used Jeffys shifters before? What about R&R? I even know there's other ones out there, like RTX or something like that, I think is the other one. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow on Zach's Workshop. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm gonna, let's put it over here. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you back here tomorrow.